Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy, your weekly video game news podcast slash vodcast, broadcasting live Fridays 7 to 8 p.m. on twitch.tv slash DCTF podcast. I'm your host Lex, and I'm joined by my erstwhile co-host
Pizza Booge.
Erstwhile. We've got all sorts
Doesn't
of
that mean dead?
I hope so, because that's what I wanted it to mean.
Yeah, after all that pizza, maybe.
Pizza coma. You'll never wake up. Mm-hmm. We've got a bunch of non-pizza related news this week. We've got stuff about MPD numbers and little retro consoles selling their hearts out, followed by Valve just falling flat on their face and then going into damage control, just like every other Valve story we do.
Valve? No.
After that, we learned that Cyberpunk 2077 is indeed edgy. Followed by Microsoft putting together a new team. What could they possibly be making? After that, we'll be talking about a Microsoft exclusive property that's actually starting to do well. Then we're going to talk about Overwatch League's big ESPN premiere. And if we have time, and I hope we don't, we're going to talk about negging and its return to video games.
Yay.
And then after that, we're going to talk about some games that came out, some games that are about to come out. But for now, let's get right into this lovely Forbes.com article.
Forbes.com. It's the most wonderful time of the month, Lex. You know what time that is?
Christmas?
It's NPD night.
Oh.
No. It's NPD numbers time.
Oh.
Also, Christmas doesn't happen every month.
Wait, really?
In this household, it does. So NPD numbers are out for June of 2018. This is from Eric Kane. And he actually describes NPD nicely, which is something that I do every time. The NPD has released its monthly report of best-selling video games, video game software, hardware, and accessories for June 2018. This report covers U.S. spending only, and while the NPD tracks digital sales, it doesn't track all digital sales for all companies. So take the following numbers with that in mind. Overall, June spending grew 25% over the same month last year to $1.1 billion. Growth was driven by spending in hardware and accessories and game cards, while spending on actual video games was slightly down. Year-to-date spending across all categories was up 17% compared to the same time period in 2017 to $6 billion. The largest growth category for 2018 so far is accessories and game cards. People love game cards. And we can get right into the best sellers. So the best-selling games of June 2018 with all those asterisks and asides aside. Number one, Mario Tennis Aces. People love that tennis. That does not count digital sales. Number two, God of War 2018. Number three, Long May They Reign, Grand Theft Auto 5. Never, ever leaving. It's the third best-selling game of last month. Oh, Jesus. Number four, The Crew. And then we go going down, Far Cry 5, Mario Kart 8, not including digital, Lego Incredibles, FIFA 18, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Cracking that top 10, Crash Bandicoot.
Cracking that top 10 outside of the UK this time. Number 10 is Detroit Become Boring. 11 is Super Mario Odyssey, not including digital sales. Next is Breath of the Wild, not including digital sales. We got Rainbow Six Siege. We got NBA 2K18. We got Call of Duty World War II. MLB 18 The Show. We got Ass Creed Origins. At number 18, we got Vampire, not including digital sales. That's impressive to me because it's a game that I started playing, really do want to continue playing because it's really cool.
Wait, did people... I didn't even realize there were physical copies of that game. I assumed it was digital only.
Yeah, I guess there are.
So well, it probably sold, pretty darn well.
Yeah, if it's, 18, it's pretty well up there. Yeah, I think, because it came out for the consoles, too, so, it had to... it doesn't have to come out in physical copies, but I think it does. But it's made by Don't Nod, and they have the money to do that kind of shit. I just really didn't think... I played a little bit. I actually played a little bit of it on this stream. Mm-hmm. And I really liked what little bit I played. I'm really excited to get to it once I fucking beat Pillars of Eternity 2, which is taking me forever. But I just really didn't think, nobody was talking about it. I really didn't think it would do that well, but apparently it is, so good for them. Number 19 is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and number 20 is State of Decay 2. Also surprised by that one, but it did get a pretty big marketing push, so I guess it makes sense. Yeah. As our author notice here that Grand Theft Auto 5, which is quite literally always on the best-selling list month after month, is in the number 3 spot for June. That's incredibly high for a game that's 5 years old. Yeah, yes it is.
Yep.
Nintendo has a great month with both Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe performing incredibly well. Ubisoft is doing incredibly well with Far Cry 5 and The Crew 2 still going strong. Notably absent from this list for June is PUBG and the Battle Royale mega hit, PUBG, the Battle Royale mega hit that topped many bestsellers lists in 2017. Also absent is Fortnite Battle Royale, the free-to-play game that's making over $300 million a month, which NPD doesn't track. So yeah, if that was on there, that'd just be top of everything, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Fortnite doesn't have physical copies.
Doesn't have physical copies, and it's a free-to-play game.
Yeah.
So yeah, best-selling games year to date, and I can't believe to say it, but the year is there's not much left in the year. 2018 went by pretty fast. We got Far Cry 5 is the top-selling game of the year. Next is God of War, Boy, what was it?
Dad of
Son
Boy.
of Man. Dad of Boy, yeah. Number 3, Monster Hunter World, still hanging in strong. Number 4, Call of Duty World War II, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Grand Theft Auto 5, the 6th best-selling game of 2018. Number 7, Mario Kart 8. We got NBA 2K18, MLB 18 The Show, Super Mario Odyssey. Yep, nothing too surprising there, I don't think. We've seen all those games perform well when they came out, so it makes sense that they would continue to do well. And that's pretty much it. The most interesting thing, though, if we go on down a little bit to hardware, we can see that hardware spending grew a whopping 52% in June compared to last year, up to $350 million. Sales were driven by Fortnite, E3 promotions, and the NES Classic. In fact, the NES Classic was the top-selling system by units sold, while the PS4 was the top-selling system in terms of dollar sales. This is the first time a Nintendo Entertainment System has topped the charts since the NPD began tracking in 1995. Pretty crazy that the NES Classic spiked for some reason. I don't know. Was there a sale on it or something? Like, why now with the NES Classic?
I don't remember if there was a sale. I think they just got it back in stock. They were just like, oh, we made more, because there was that whole thing where they said they were going to make a limited number, and then that was a lie, because there was a limited number initially, and then after it sold crazy and sold out everywhere, Nintendo was like, oh, maybe we should like make more of them. And then they did, and now they're like much easier to get. But because everyone had that like moment where they thought they were never going to be able to get it again, it built up all this anticipation. And then when Nintendo put out more copies, people immediately went and bought them. Mm-hmm. So that
they did the same thing with the SNES Classic, I imagine.
I think so, or they're going to. Maybe they haven't yet. But this is a tactic that Nintendo has certainly employed before with its consoles. Yeah. Maybe not to this degree.
Artificial supply constraint.
Yeah, maybe not to this degree, but certainly similar trend. And it's annoying, but it obviously works. So,
yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
To this day, I know that I don't know. I'm a cynical bastard, but like I understand that there's Nintendo fans, and I understand that people want that little box. But I want to just whisper in all their ears, be like, emulators has been around for a long time. And you can get the same thing and even more on a computer, or like literally like a tablet. Mm-hmm. The same damn thing, and you don't have to pay for it.
On your phone.
It's like what you're buying is literally a ROM box.
Yep. It should be free.
Hey, yeah, but people like that little box. It's cute.
They love those little controller cables.
And that's it for the MPD, as far as I'm concerned. Most interesting things.
Very cool. Very, very, very cool. Let's move on to Valve. Also, I will point out with that last story, for any of you listening to this for audio, you didn't know, but for anyone watching the video, this probably annoyed the heck out of you, and it annoyed the heck out of me. That Forbes story had like a floating video screen thing, and there was no way to X out of it that I could find. It was either let it float in the corner or maximize it.
Come on, Forbes.
I was like, neither of those are options I want. I just want this little video playing game trailers to go away. So, Now we're going to use IGN's website, a site...
Which is equally annoying when it comes to video.
Yeah, definitely a site known for that stuff. Article from June 31st. Valve removes scam game from Steam and bans developer. So, a little backstory for this. You may remember in weeks past we reported on how there was a whole kerfuffle over at Valve with hot anime girls, and
They didn't like them.
Yeah, they were banning them left and right, banning those games, and then everyone was up in arms about it. So Valve said, "Okay, listen, we changed our minds. We're gonna let you have cute anime girls on the site. In fact, we're gonna let you have any games you want as long as they are not," and I quote, "something we consider illegal or straight up trolling."
Yeah.
And you and I baffled over what that could mean.
Yeah, it's like it's the opposite of legalese.
Mm-hmm.
It's so vague.
But basically the cornerstone of that seemed to be we're going to allow whatever. And just, whatever. You can put whatever on here as long as it doesn't piss us off. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So, within a couple weeks, someone put scam software on there. Because why wouldn't they?
Right.
Abstractism, a simple platformer made by developer Okalu Union, has been removed from Steam following allegations that the game was running a cryptojacking, which, let's stop for a second to recognize cryptojacking is a great term. Cryptojacking program.
That's some cyberpunk shit right there.
Yeah. Program in the background of the player's computers. Okalu Union, along with publisher Dead.Team, which is pretty good, actually. It's really good, have disappeared from Steam as well. So, this is reported by Steamed, a branch of Kotaku. Abstractionism has been accused of secretly using players' resources to mine for cryptocurrency. Basically, this was a game that you installed it, and it had background software that would mine for use your computer to mine cryptocurrency and send it over to the game devs. Now, this was a dumb decision, not because of the cryptocurrency mining thing, but because cryptocurrency has obviously died. Like, why are you even... You're never... Even if you sell, thousands of copies of your game, which you're not going to, because it's a random, low resolution, sort of simplistic platformer, you still wouldn't be able to mine very much, so that's silly.
Lex, you don't understand. The Illyrium that I have is going to put my kids through college, okay?
Oh, well. Joke's on your kids. They don't exist, so they don't have to.
I know,
nobody has to worry about it.
They never will.
But that was running in the background. Some people noticed it because they installed the game and they noticed it was taking up a bunch of their system specs, which was weird because it's a simplistic platformer. So why would it need to take up all of their graphics processing power? That's weird. What is it? Okalu Union issued a statement on it. They insisted that abstractionism does not mine any cryptocurrency, even though people clearly said that it did. What was it? I don't know if the quotes are in this article, but they had released some statements saying oh no, the reason why it's taking all your GPU is just we didn't optimize the game very well, and it's a known glitch in our development platform that it'll do that.
It said something along the lines, it's probably using because you have it on high graphic settings. Yes,
that was it. They accused people of having it on high graphic settings, which was hilarious to me. Oh, this game also cost 50 cents or 49 cents. And the cryptocurrency isn't all. It's not all. There was another thing this game was doing which was fantastic. It was there were items that were there were in-game items that were designed to look exactly like Team Fortress 2 items that you could get, and then people would trade them on Steam with other people who traded Team Fortress 2 items for, the value of that Team Fortress 2 item, because the people who wanted the actual Team Fortress 2 items couldn't tell the difference.
Classic.
It was great. Anyway, Valve decided to remove abstraction, ban the developer from Steam. And let's see, removing abstraction and banning its developer from Steam for shipping unauthorized code, trolling, and scamming customers with deceptive in-game items, the Team Fortress items. So it's funny that Valve's official statement was, well, yeah, I mean, we took it down because it was trolling, and we said we were going to take down trolling.
Yeah,
we still aren't going to define what trolling is, but listen, we understand what it is, and we're implementing the policy.
Yeah, that's some like double think shit right there. It's like, well, you'll know trolling when you see it.
Obviously.
Like, we're not going to tell you what it is, but yeah, I mean, I guess it is. I'd say it goes beyond trolling. I'd say it's like,
it's straight. It's
fraud.
Yeah, no, it's something that Valve deems to be illegal, and it is definitely straight up trolling. So, basically, people got on Valve's case about this because, once again, as we see in almost every Valve story, something goes wrong on their platform because they have no interest in curating everything. And then something bad happens, and people get up in arms about it because people are cheated out of money. So, why wouldn't they be up in arms about it? And then Valve scrambles to do damage control. Everything they do is reactionary because they don't want to do anything preventative.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the trend.
It seems to be the trend. I think it's it's a chicken and the egg thing, is that they've just, the stance that they've taken makes it so they can't be preventative.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They've chosen to not be preventative, to do no preventative things. So Valve implements a couple of Steam changes to prevent fake item scans, and this is a story from August 1st. Valve has added a couple of safeguards to prevent developers from creating fake in-game items to scam traders, and this refers to the TF2 items from abstraction. Now, this is when it became clear that said developers were able to successfully fool item traders by creating fake items. The idea that any game could do this at all was staggering because it meant that it would be an easy way to scam unsuspecting Steam users. So yeah, apparently, I mean, if you're good enough at duping the items, it's not actually that difficult to do this, because it's not like abstraction is made by a bunch of computer whizzes. It's clearly a very simplistic game that just had some malware hiding inside it.
I mean, the team's dead, for fuck's sake.
They're dead. And it was easy for people to look at this game while it was running and find the malware. So these people are not super expert hackers, and yet they were easily able to make these dupes of TF2 items and then put them on the market, make money off of their sales, and fool a bunch of people who have been buying and selling TF2 items since TF2 launched. That's an issue for Valve, and it's good that they are addressing it. In order to address this issue, Valve has made two big changes to Steam. The first is a simple warning that alerts players making a trade that the item they're about to buy is from a game they've never played before, or a game that's new to Steam. Okay, so that's a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, but it's something.
Yes. Yeah.
This should prevent cases where traders would read the name of the item but not what game it is for before accepting the trade. This is exactly what the TF2 trader from this week's story did before realizing what had happened. Let's see. But that's not all.
Who would buy that if they don't know where it's from, though?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, there's a screenshot of it, and it just looks apparently exactly like the item.
Yeah.
In every way, except it says abstractionism instead of TF2, or I don't know if there's other games you can get TF2 items in. I assume not. But
yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, the guy had said, at a glance, it looked like the real thing, and it was his own dumb fault. So he certainly took responsibility for it, but he is someone who trades all the time. So if he's going to make that mistake, other people are definitely going to make that mistake. But that's not all. Valve now requires approval for app name changes to in-game items, which should take care of cases where a developer tries to rename the item to scam different groups of players or troll. Which is the other thing the developers of Abstraction had done. Come on, Video Games 24/7, why are you... Don't buy into Valve's bullshit narrative about trolling as a legal term. It's not. It's just not.
I think they might be in on the joke. I think that might be... At least, I don't know. It depends how you read it. but I think that might be like they're like, yeah, it's bullshit that this word means nothing.
Yeah. So
who knows?
we are hopeful that having to dismiss 2 warning dialogues will be sufficient to make people think twice about trades containing foreign items. But this is not the end of our response, and we'll continue to monitor, of course, they said, posting under username drunken_F00L on Reddit.
Fool.
Yep, drunken fool. We also started requiring approval for app name changes, blah, blah, blah. So, again, yeah, it's reactionary. That bothers me because they could have... These are very simple things they could have thought to put in place well ahead of time and really should have already been put in place. But it's good that they're here now. It still feels like this is very little.
Yeah. I think, honestly, if I had to guess why they don't tackle these things sooner is because when you look at a case like this, yeah, it sucks that people got trolled twice over with the cryptojacking and the TF2 stuff. But when you look at it, it's like abstractionism is this little tiny game that probably like 0.05% of all Steam's users got. And I don't know how many people are in the professional TF2 item trade still, but if I had to guess, it's not that big. So, like, this little stuff goes on, and it probably just flies under Valve's radar because they're busy counting money. You know, if this was happening in, like, Grand Theft Auto 5, it would probably be an entirely different story. But I think it's just because of the scale of this, it's so small that by the time they get enough grief about it, then they're like, fine, we'll put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, as you said. Instead of really doing anything about it. I bet you they can't be bothered most of the time to try to fix these things because they're small for them.
No, I think that's true. I think that's definitely their thought process. That they just feel like, look at all the money we have. Why bother? It's not going to be a big deal. It'll just, if it happens, it'll just piss off a few people. It'll create bad press for us for like a week, but we're still really the only people in the PC market, so where is everybody going to go?
That's the logical end of that. It's like, well, you're not going to not use Steam.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the truth for most people. It's like, if you play PC games, you're probably buying the majority of your games on Steam. Unless you're like unless you only play like Blizzard games, then you're going to use Steam. It doesn't matter. They could literally hold your grandmother hostage at gunpoint, and you'd still be like, well, I have to use Steam. Like, come on.
I'm not gonna not use Steam. Sorry, Grandma.
It's like, sorry, Nanny, but just gonna have to deal with it.
Okay.
So, they suck, but what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, I think this is just gonna be a thing where, in a couple months, there's this same kind of story is gonna come back up. It's just gonna keep happening. My worry is that it's going to keep happening until it becomes a bigger deal. Like, people are going to get defrauded for a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
And then Valve could actually get in trouble. Not in the sense that people will stop using the platform, but in the sense that someone may take legal action against them.
Yeah.
As like a consumer protection issue.
The big thing is that I think that, like, and why I think that these things are so small and why the punitive measures that Valve puts down are so small is because if there was a legitimately big problem, I think that Valve could put its legal might to bear. Like, I think they could bring out the army of lawyers, and they could probably tackle something pretty quickly if they actually wanted to do it.
Oh yeah, no, and I have faith in them to be able to fix these things quickly. I mean, they fixed this situation very quickly. As soon as people realized something was wrong, Valve came out, fixed it. But like, as we were saying earlier, it's all reactionary. So, so like I'm saying, like, this could happen on a grander scale and hit them really fast and really hard, and because they don't have safeguards in place, there could be like,
fucked over.
Yeah, if it's a scam that's only active for a day, and then they fix it, sure, but during that 24 hours, if it, like, defrauds people for millions of dollars, Steam's users aren't going to be happy about that.
Right. Yeah, they could have something. I mean, they could face something like it's not as big as like a mass defrauding, but like the whole. Remember when the PSN network went down for like a week straight?
Oh yeah, because of those DDoS attacks, right?
Yeah, and like at the end, like the CEOs of Sony had to come out and like bow on a stage to like apologize to people.
Mm.
Like something like that could happen to them, and that would be very bad. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I'm yeah, I wonder how much at the real core of things, how secure the Steam network is, like to try to prevent stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I worry not very much.
Yeah.
So we're moving on from Sorry Grandma.
Talking about cryptojacking.
Yeah. We're going from talking about cryptojacking to talking about cryptojacking.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077. Its storyline is going to be, quote, inherently political. Wah wah. CD Projekt Red's Quest designer, Patrick Mills, has asserted that Cyberpunk 2077 will be, quote, inherently political. In an interview with official Xbox magazine, Mills was asked whether the hotly anticipated sci-fi RPG would contain political themes or social commentary. He replied, Cyberpunk 2077 is a game about people with power at the top and the people at the bottom with none.
Oh, gotta seize the means of production.
The power can come from money, hierarchies, technology, and violence. I like how it wasn't or. It has to be all of those things.
Yes, he's not lying. That is what Cyberpunk is.
The original Cyberpunk 2020 setting, like the setting of the Witcher stories, was a complete or a complex critique of the author's world, and we don't shy away from that in our games. On the contrary, I think it's one of the things that sets us apart. Cyberpunk is an inherently political genre, and it's an inherently political franchise. So this is, a no-duh thing, as I think you said when I first sent you the story, like, obviously, because Cyberpunk as a genre, as he said in his quote, is inherently political. It's all about, dystopian futures, all this high technology that, like, should make a utopian future, but mankind has, like, become too greedy and everything's messed up for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Especially it's about like class inequality.
Yeah, I mean, William Gibson, who created the cyberpunk genre with his novels, that's a lot of what his novels are about. You see a lot of squalor in his stuff, which is
the sprawl.
Yeah, the sprawl. That's what the sprawl is. It's great. It's it's really poignant, and especially I think now probably more than ever as technology advances in the real world and we get sort of one step closer to the cyberpunk dystopian future.
Yeah, we're kind of like almost there, at least with ads and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like we're climbing close to it. Yeah.
So it's great, and it makes sense, and it's nice that he said it. Especially because, and I don't know if we did a story on this, I remember reading about it, but there was an interview with, who was it? Was it the people who made Far Cry 5? Or maybe it was a different game. But it was an interview with them about their game, and...
Wolfenstein.
Oh, was it Wolfenstein? I don't think it was Wolfenstein.
We might be talking about different things. I was thinking about the time that a bunch of people were upset that the new Wolfensteins are about killing Nazis.
No, I'm not talking about that. See, that's why Bethesda is good, and I put them good in the same way that CD Projekt Red is good, because when people said, is this supposed to be a political statement? The Bethesda people were like, heck yeah, it is. And, and they did that mostly because of marketing, because they wanted to sell copies, whereas the Cyberpunk people are more doing it just because that's what it should be. So I give more credit to CD Projekt Red. But what I'm talking about is there was an interview, and I think it's with Ubisoft. I think. I'd have to find the article, and I have no idea where it is. But it was an interview, and they were asking about the game, and the interviewer was like, hey, so Far Cry 5, that's a very political game. And the game dev was just like, no, it's not. and they said, yeah, but like... you can, there's like conservative people that you're going to blow up. Isn't that a political statement? And the guy was like, nah, it's just an open world game. You can do whatever you want. We don't make any assumptions about the players' politics. And the interviewer, you could tell from the written interview that the interviewer was doing a double take at the statement. Because it's so absurd to be like, oh, all this political commentary that we baked into the game. Yeah, no, we don't recognize that any of that's there because the dev he was talking to did not want to stir up controversy, obviously. Right. So he just wouldn't say it. He just wouldn't admit to something that was so patently obvious within his game.
That's so funny.
It was so good.
Especially about a series like Far Cry, which are, in my opinion, like they're like political. It's like absurd political crazy land games. Like
now the
almost
one
entirely about like dictators on fringe edges of society, like oppressing people and you shooting them. Like that's what those games are about.
the one caveat that I will give is I don't, like I said earlier, I'm not 100% sure if it was Far Cry. It might have been a different game. And it's super bothering me that I can't remember, because I was thinking about it before the show when I found this article, and I was trying to find that article, and because I couldn't remember the game, I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I want to
think of it. You'll think of it as soon as the show's over.
Yeah, as soon as the show's over, I'll think of it. So I just want to give a lot of credit to CD Projekt Red, because they just came out and said it in an atmosphere where game devs don't always want to do that.
Yeah, and I think this is... CD Projekt Red are like in a perfect... They're badasses. I mean, they came from like their core dev team. The leaders of their core dev team came from like communist Poland, and when they got out, they used to like copy games off the radio and shit back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And like that's where they come from. They come from a very punk rock place already, you know. So they've never been apologetic about their art. And I do want to say this, and I hate that this has been a thing over the past 5 or so years, where that whole, we just want the content, don't give us your politics. We just want the art, don't give us your politics. Like that whole thing, and you see it everywhere. Like I follow like famous chefs who say political shit, and people are like, stick to the cooking, all right? We don't want your politics. Or artists, musicians, game developers, whatever. I'm going to say something that is very obvious, but newsflash, all art is political.
Yep.
It always has been, and it always will be. It doesn't matter what it is. There is the political leanings of the creator in every single piece of art that is made, whether it's made by a multi-hundred group team of game developers making Cyberpunk or one person making music in a bedroom. All art is political, and if you don't like that, then avail yourself from art and go live in a cave. And don't draw anything on the walls, because you might make it political.
Yikes.
But yeah, obviously Cyberpunk's going to be heavily political. It always has been. Mike Pondsmith, the guy that made the original Cyberpunk 2020 tabletop game, he made it that way. It's about a class disillusionment, and about like a dystopian world where it's literally like hyper class inequality, and I think that's actually shown in something they later on in this article they talk about that I'd like to read, because I love this idea. It's just a super cool idea, but I think it shows exactly the kind of world that Cyberpunk is. So the team has been doing like a frame by frame analysis of the trailer, talking about different aspects of it. The latest single frame analysis introduced the trauma team, which it says, quote, is composed of paramedics expertly trained in combat who will go to any lengths to deliver their clients from harm. Those wealthy enough to afford a trauma team medical plan receive a card and a biochip implant. When the chip recognizes a medical problem in the client system, it immediately informs the trauma team, who rush to the scene and stabilize and extract the patient. Rain or shine, war zone or picnic. And from what I've heard of the previews, this is part of the preview, is that you take this woman who's like unconscious outside of a building from some kind of thing, and the trauma team comes in and like lands in a troop carrier, and they're medics with guns, and they're like pushing you back, and they're like, get the fuck out, get the fuck away, And it's like, the whole thing is like, yeah, she's rich enough to have this, but the people that aren't, they're just going to die in the gutter. Like, There's no one coming to save them. Because that's the world.
It's
brutal.
The obvious logical conclusion of private healthcare, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's hilarious. And I mean, I like that shit in my games. I like when it goes that far, because it's like, it probably will get that far eventually.
Well, that's depressing.
I know.
Let's talk about an RPG team.
Yep.
So,
surely.
Playground Games hires BioWare, EA Motive, and Rocksteady talent for upcoming RPG. Forza Horizon developer also welcomes developers from Ninja Theory, Guerrilla Games, and more to Second Studio. So let's see. UK studio Playground Games has hired another wave of top talent for its unannounced action RPG. GamesIndustry.biz can reveal. Wow, look at this exclusive. Good job.
Damn. Exclusive.
The developer has added a range of recruits from acclaimed game makers such as BioWare, Rocksteady, Ninja, Guerrilla, plus hires from Electronic Arts Motive Studios, which is still working on its debut title.
Yeah.
All these new titles will be working on the open world, action RPG, blah, 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 blah.
Hired a bunch of people.
Yeah, they hired a bunch of people. They have people from GTA 5, the best-selling game of this year and any year.
Of all of our lives.
Of all of our lives. Metal Gear Solid and Hellblade. I think that's... Well, I guess it's Ninja Theory and they made Hellblade, so that kind of makes sense. But it's still cool.
Same with people from Devil May Cry, Enslaved Odyssey to the West. No, that's just one guy from Ninja Theory. Never mind. And people from Horizon Zero Dawn,
Star
2.
Wars Battlefront 2, which was funny because some people heard this and they were like, "Get those Star Wars Battlefront 2 people away!" But
as if one dev is like, the people that
it's that one guy who's gonna institute all the pay-to-win microtransactions.
Yep, it was just him.
But no, it turns out that guy is an environment artist. So, and you can't.
And that game looked really pretty.
Yeah, so like that's somebody you want on your game. Anybody from the Battlefront 2 team, you want the environment artists. There's also this fun little picture of all the dudes, and it's just like, wow, look at all these lily white bearded men.
Yeah. This is game development in a montage right here.
Gosh, oh my god! Like one of them doesn't have a beard, but he has glasses, so he makes up for it.
He does, right? Game development. Yeah, no, it's that's very true. This is interesting stuff. I think we were talking about before, and you mentioned that you're almost certain that it's a Fable game that they're working on.
So what I had read elsewhere was that Playground Games rather, is a new acquisition of Microsoft. I don't know how true that is. I think it's true. And because of that...
They announced their acquisition at E3.
Yeah, and because of that, people are saying, oh, okay, well, it's a Microsoft, it's got to be... it's an action RPG, and it's probably a Microsoft established IP. Maybe it's an original IP, but I don't know if Microsoft would be that gutsy. Especially to hire like all that really, really expensive talent to do a new IP. So people are speculating like, okay, well, what could it be? And they're looking at the backgrounds of these people and they're like, okay, these are all the franchises they've worked on, and they're all franchises that we know but are still in production right now, most of them, like Devil May Cry, like Forza, like
Destiny,
all that stuff. But one of the guys who they hired had worked at Lionhead and had worked on Fable and Fable 2.
Yeah.
So people were like, oh, maybe they're doing a Fable game because they're just sort of sitting on that IP, and it would make sense for them to bring that back, and that would be an open world action RPG.
Yeah, that sounds likely. But I think the other side is equally as likely. When you're saying, I do think that Microsoft is that gutsy, because they've been getting gutsy with acquiring new studios, and they talked about how they want to bring new IP to their portfolio a lot during E3. And I think that you look at Playground Games, and they've been delivering. Like I honestly was surprised that they weren't already owned by Microsoft when they said that they were getting purchased by Microsoft, because I've always just associated the Forza games and the people that make them with Microsoft. I always thought that they were just in league, all along. But it would make sense to me to take this company that was once always very closely tied to the Microsoft brand and now literally is owned by Microsoft. Trusted developers, they make good games, they obviously sell well. They've made like 6 Forza games now or something. I can see them going to Microsoft and being like, yeah, we'll let you buy us. Or, well, like, part of the deal of acquiring us, besides the money and whatnot, is that we want to spin off, and we have a new IP that we really want to work on, but we haven't had the backing to get it to do it. It's a big RPG. Because you're buying us, it'll be exclusive for you. Big new IP, and we want big people. And I can see, what's his face, the guy that's in charge of Xbox. I can't remember his name right now. Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see him saying like, all right, yeah, here's a boatload of cash. Go hire anyone you want. you get one chance.
One shot, one opportunity.
Yeah, if it's a huge, because this is also like, I'm thinking of what's happened recently, is that Sony just started a brand new huge open world RPG original IP in Horizon Zero Dawn, and it did really, really well for them. And then they also just acquired Kojima to do his game on their platform, and I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft's looking at all that and like, yeah, we should probably get into that exclusive open world RPG business. Like, that's a pretty good business, it seems. So that's the way I looked at it, but the Halo thing could also, not Halo, Fable thing could also be a possibility.
I figured out, I was Googling, I figured out why everyone's speculating that. It turns out there's a rumor from Eurogamer from the beginning of the year. These are, let's see, this is from January 17th. Anonymous sources say that Microsoft plots a Fable return, and this is when they first did, they got these Forza Horizon people, and they were like, listen, you're going to have Playground Games, you're going to make us a Fable game with that studio. And then we didn't hear anything about it until now. So, again, we're not sure that it is actually a Fable game, but Eurogamer's anonymous sources say that it is a Fable game. And that makes sense. That's why people are saying that. I get it. Eurogamer's anonymous sources are actually usually pretty good.
Eurogamer's, they don't fuck around.
Yeah, I would trust their anonymous sources before I'd trust anybody else's anonymous sources. So that does make it a pretty good possibility, but your argument, I think, still stands.
What year what was that from? Were those rumors from?
It's from the beginning of this year. So it's the 17th of January 2018.
Yeah, because I just looked it up real quick. That would play, those numbers would play, because Lionhead Studios, who used to make the Fable games and Microsoft owned, in 2016 they proposed the closing of Lionhead and for Fable Legends to be canceled, which was supposed to come out. And then they closed on 2016, a few months after Lionhead closure. Yeah, some people went and made some other stuff. So that would make sense. If maybe they took, it could be possible that they took the Fable Legends tech and they're doing something new, but I don't know. That sounds, if they're hiring this many big names to go work on something, if it is a Fable game, I bet it will not look anything like a Fable game. It'll be a Fable in franchise only. It'll be something like the new Prey, where it's like,
oh yeah,
where it's got that name but not much else.
Which I actually find kind of too bad, because I always liked the art style in Fable, because it sort of had a sense of whimsy to it, and a lot of the
writing.
It was
whimsical as hell.
Yeah, a lot of the writing sort of backed that up as well. But yeah,
and your dog, you're gonna love your dog.
Gotta love your dog, man. I gotta play Fable 2 again, because Fable 1's a big trash fire, and Fable 3's kind of a trash fire, but Fable 2 is where it's at.
Yeah. They're fun games. I've played them just a little bit. They're fun to kind of bash around in.
Yeah, they're really solid action RPGs. There's just it just depends on how much depth there is to them.
Right. It's all how much you believed Peter Molyneux's bullshit about planting trees and coming back and that tree being the full size.
I had the funniest conversation, just as a real quick aside, with one of my friends who loves the Fable franchise. And they were like, yeah, no, I've always loved the Fable franchise. And I'm like, didn't it bother you when Molyneux promised that you could plant a tree and watch it grow, and then, like, you can do nothing like that in Fable 1? And they said, what are you talking about? So they never, like, heard any of the marketing pre-Fable 1. They discovered Fable 1 when it came out, and they bought it.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I know some people that really, really like those games, too, and they also aren't really video game people, so they weren't following, like, the marketing.
Yeah.
So I think how much you like those games depended on how much you interface with the marketing beforehand.
Which is funny, because that's like the opposite of how things are supposed to work.
I know. Hey man, that's what ruined Oblivion for me. I followed that game too closely and did not turn out how they said it was going to.
Yep. So let's move on to some of our last stories.
I'm interested in that. By the way, I'm excited if it is a Fable game or not. That's a lot of people, it's a lot of money, and if it is a new IP, then that's exciting.
Yeah, a lot of lily white talent, but really, really talented lily white talent. So I am interested to see what they make, very much so.
Yes. Speaking of other lily white British developers,
You all ever heard of Sea of Thieves? Do you remember it? I guess maybe.
Remember Sea of Thieves?
Turns out
Game Pass?
Yeah, turns out Sea of Thieves has passed 5 million players. So
Indeed.
They put out their Cursed Sales DLC. I think that came out. And they also notoriously were put on Game Pass. And man, that has worked out for them. It has worked out very well for them. And it's a really good... I don't know if it's good... I don't know if it tells us that Sea of Thieves is good or not. I feel like that's the thing that some people are going to take away from this, that Sea of Thieves' new expansion makes it really good. You should play it again. I don't think that's what you should take away from this story. I think what you should take away from the story is that Game Pass is super successful.
Yes.
And everyone,
It's when they first announced Game Pass, I'm like, this is... I thought it was going to do really well, and I hope that it continues to do well, because this is good. Because you take a game like Sea of Thieves, and I played a little bit of it, and it was obviously a very interesting shell of a game that needed a lot of stuff put into it. And Game Pass is the perfect thing for that, because it's like you can play it, you can drop out of your subscription, wait a year or whatever until more shit comes out for it, come back in, and you never have to actually buy the full game and be laden with that burden, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that this is a super good Eurogamer, using all the puns. Just really loving sales and sales.
Yep.
Can't get enough of it. Yeah, it's great. And by the way, Games Pass is £8 a month, or roughly $500 US.
Yeah, that's the conversion rate.
Yep.
It's true. Nothing untrue about that. We're really good at knowing these things. So
yes.
But this is interesting to me, because I'm thinking, what happens when we get really we have a comment. If you see this comment, you can say, and then it doesn't continue.
God damn it.
What can I say? I don't know.
Don't fall for it, Lex. Don't fall for it.
Thanks for commenting, though. I appreciate it. So, no, but what this makes me excited for is what's going to happen when a really, really good, fleshed out, like a GTA 5 type game comes out on Game Pass as an Xbox exclusive. I think we're going to see Game Pass really take off. And it's going to be fascinating to watch. So I'm super excited.
It's going to be that Playground Games game. That's going to be the one.
I can see that. I'm using the Valve trolling standard.
Oh, okay.
And I can see that
anything that you want it to.
Yes, so I can see that the person in chat who's trying to make me say their name and then they will subscribe is obviously straight up trolling.
Yes, it's just straight up trolling. And by trolling, we mean whatever we feel like banning at any point.
Exactly.
We feel like banning it.
But that being said, though, seriously, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting in Twitch chat. If you're listening to this in recording, you probably know that we're on Twitch, because we say it at the beginning of every show. So listen to us live. Watch the live feed. You can see the articles we're going through, and you can chat with us. And it is always nice to
and you can drop them
comments.
Bits.
Drop them bits. Oh god,
bits.
Make it rain those bits.
Rain the bits.
We are running a little bit out of time.
Can we go to the next article that I was totally right about? I love being right about everything.
So do your humble brag real quick, and then we'll move on to the end of the show.
Guess what? No one wants to watch Overwatch League on cable television. Who knew? Oh wait, I knew. No, so it's very simple. I talked about this before. Overwatch League premiered on ESPN. And didn't do good. The Nielsen ratings were shit, it's funny how he goes into Nielsen ratings and how whack they are, and I do agree that they're really strange and don't really correspond to how many people are actually watching at any given time. But they were really low. They were not good, especially compared to Twitch's numbers, which were pretty damn good for any given large stream. So guess what? I was right again. 100% me. Drop the bits on me, because I'm always right.
There are some caveats that I want to mention that make you wrong. But no! It's interesting because one of the things that was mentioned was that a bunch of the games, the matches leading up to the finals, were not televised.
Right.
So if you are someone who watches ESPN already, you see this come up in your programming block and you're like, oh, the finals of a season that I didn't watch because maybe I would have been interested, but I never got the chance to watch because they didn't air it. So I'm not particularly interested in watching the finals because there's been no build up. That could have contributed to it. But no, I think that it is probably primarily that the people who watch this are not going to watch on ESPN, as you said. And also, one of the things we should take away is the ratings were fine. They weren't actually bad.
They're not bad.
Yeah, which tells me that even with an audience who probably doesn't watch ESPN, and with an ESPN core audience that didn't have a lead up to this, its ratings weren't in the gutter. They were actually just mediocre. That's kind of a win.
It's kind of. I would bet though that that number steadily declines though, because I bet a lot of that is that's what I'm looking for. It's something new. It's novelty for a lot of people. When they're like, oh, it's like my son playing video games. Now I got to watch the Patriots game or something, you know. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not horribly bad now. Sort of a win. Okay, sure, fine.
Our person in chat says, "What's ESPN?" A fair question.
Exactly, and that's
a fair question
point.
For anyone under 30. Yes, this is true.
Exactly, and that is in my entire point is that people that already want to watch Overwatch don't own cable. They have the internet, and why would you get cable? Because you don't need it. You can get whatever the hell you want elsewhere. But what is it? ESPN is a sports channel. They broadcast sports.
So, let's, how much time do we have left?
And by sports, I mean like football.
We got 7 minutes left. I'm going to mention this next story real quick. Do you remember Super Seducer? We reported on it. It's a game about how to be a creepy, horrible person. It teaches young men how to be creepy and horrible. Guess what? It's getting a sequel. It's getting a sequel that's coming out the same year as the original came out, which tells you two things. One, that the game devs are not deterred by the fact that everyone called them horrible. But, you know, why would they be?
Why would they be? They're already horrible.
Yeah, and two, Super Seducer probably made a pretty good amount of money.
Do you think?
You can't just launch into production of a sequel without some kind of funding. And
these are like choose your own adventure, like YouTube games, it seems like.
That's true. However, you look at the footage of these things, and there's like a trailer for this, and the footage in the first game wasn't bad. It was competently shot. The footage in the second game actually looks really nice. So these are people that have nice cameras and know how to use them. So that's not cheap. But supposedly this the sequel will be more inclusive. There will be you playing as a woman trying to seduce men. I don't think that makes it better.
It's something on my tip of my tongue. What is it? Double standards, I think it is.
Yeah, that was it. So this is going to be a big old internet controversy when it comes out, and we'll probably report on it.
I like though, if you watch the little trailer, their idea of a woman being creepy on a guy is taking out a tape measure and attempting to measure his dick, which I don't think has ever actually happened in the real world.
Yeah, no woman has ever done that, ever.
No. So, I don't think they even understand how creepy women work.
Wait, do you think that they don't understand how women actually think? Are you accusing the devs of Super Seducer of not understanding how women think?
Richard Laruna, UK's best pickup artist? No, how could I?
Also, side note to the person in chat, is Fortnite losing hype? I do not think it is, because I have seen the amount of money that Fortnite is raking in. It is not losing any hype at all.
Yeah, the $300 million a month that they're raking in, I think says all you need to know.
All you need to know. So, we're just about to the end of the show. Let's talk about games that just came out and games that are about to come out.
Only if Super Seducer could make $300 million a month.
Ugh. So, at the end of last month, we had things such as Code Princess, Princess EX.
Code of Princess EX.
Code of Princess. Oh, god damn it!
Come on, Lex. How long have you been reading these things? We had Chasm, which is a really great looking pixel art Metroidvania game.
Yeah.
Although I was super, super excited for it, and apparently it's not super great, which is really unfortunate. It still looks really good, though.
We also had Titan Quest released for the Nintendo Switch.
Sweet, I guess.
Yeah, Titan Quest, for those who don't know, if you like Diablo, Titan Quest is basically a Diablo clone.
Yep. I hated it when it came out on PC.
Well, I actually like it quite a bit. My problem with it is that Diablo to me, has aged so well because it doesn't use full 3D graphics.
Yes.
Whereas Titan Quest did, and as a result, it really didn't age very well. And I don't know if they've changed any of the textures or anything for the Switch. I don't know if that would actually help that much, because I haven't checked out the Switch version, but I probably plan to, or maybe supposedly at Eurogamer Leak says, we will get a Diablo port on the Switch at some point. So I'm sort of on the fence as to if I want to hold out for that or play Titan Quest, because I do want that kind of game on a Switch.
It's perfect for a Switch.
I'm just sort of waiting to see if we can get an announcement for the Diablo one and how far off that is, you know? But with Blizzard, probably a long way.
Yeah, it's ready when it's ready.
So we had Yakuza 0 come out for Windows.
Yakuza.
Very cool. That happened on the 1st. WarioWare Gold comes out today for the 3DS.
Yay.
WarioWare. Never a bad time with that.
No.
And then, let's see, on the 7th, we've got Dead Cells coming out for flippin' everything. Windows, Mac,
Dead Cells,
Linux, Switch, PS4, Xbone, all the things.
Now, there's a Metroidvania that is really fucking cool. It's a really cool game.
Overcooked 2, I don't know what that is. I assume it's a cooking game.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Overcooked 1, it's a cooperative, like, anxiety simulator. They're really fun. They're really fun to play.
And then on the 9th, we have Layton's Mystery Journey DX coming out for the Switch. People are excited about that. Minute, an indie darling, in which it's an RPG. You have to play it in a whole minute. Coming out also for the Nintendo Switch. Monhun World.
Oh my god, get Ben King.
Yeah, finally coming out for the Windows PC. People are excited. That is going to do very well when it comes out for the PC.
I don't want to play that game, but I'm going to have to, because literally every person that in my life, I think, is going to be playing. So.
Oh, definitely. Okami HD coming out for the Nintendo Switch. Great idea for a port. I'm glad that's coming out.
Draw Like a Wolf.
Yeah, and Yakuza 3 coming out for the PS4. Big deal there, too. So the 9th is actually going to see quite a bit of cool stuff. After that, we'll be into next week. We'll talk about that then. So...
Oh, We Happy Few is coming out this soon. Man.
We Happy Few. It wasn't already out.
I know. That's a game that I thought came out like 5 years ago.
Yep. So, that's it. That's the show. We've reached our hour limit. Thank you for listening or watching. Thank you for commenting on Twitch if you did that. This has been Don't Copy That Floppy, a weekly video game news vodcast, broadcasting live Fridays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/DCTF podcast. If you want to check out our show archive, we have one up on chipit.net. Don't check it right now because, listen, they're doing site maintenance. It's down. It is also up on iTunes. You can check it out there. And rate and review if you do that. We also have a YouTube channel where we have a lot of these archived. I've actually been catching up with the archive of that. So you'll be able to watch all those sweet videos on there if you'd like. Hey, thanks again for being in chat. See you later, because people are saying bye.
Peace.
And what else did I want to say? Finally, there's a Patreon. If you want to check out our Patreon, please do so. You can give us all that money month to month. It would be super helpful.
All those bits.
And you get access to bonus content. Also, we're a Twitch affiliate on the DCTF podcast. Because, man, that is a low bar. So, if you want, you can cheer bits to us, and that would be cool. Because, you know... Why not? Give us some bits.
Everyone loves money.
Anyway, that's it. Chris, until next time, what do people have to remember?
Don't cryptojack that floppy.
Nice.